Jagex released some big changes to Dungeoneering in this week's patch notes. In this video, I'll go over the changes and give my perspective as a top Dungeoneering player, and let you know if it's worth giving World 77 a chance again. Also, I just want to let you know I have a video I've been working on in the background per our survey results, so worry not, something cool is coming soon. So there's a lot of small patches that don't really have a huge impact, like they move the map on mobile, which is great, but no one really does Dungeoneering on mobile because it's just a terrible experience. They've had some small changes that are really nice, so you're able to click on skill doors now. Even if you misclick the door before, if you didn't click on the hitbox of the skill icon, it would just cause you to not be able to reach the door and not actually complete it. So that's a nice change. They also made it so you can no longer kill dinosaurs unless you place traps, which I like because you're not going to misclick on them and you're not going to waste chain or ricochet hits on them. The one downside is you can no longer barge on them, but I think overall it's a nice change. They made the statue room unlock a little bit faster, which is nice. Again, it's a very small change, but it's appreciated. Another change they've made is the sarcophagus room, where you have to pick 4 herbs and then clean them and place them in burners. Before, you'd have to go individually each herb. You'd have to click it, click it, harvest it over and over. Now you just do it once and they all slowly fill your inventory. Overall, I think that's a great change for average players. It doesn't really change anything for high level gameplay because you would just pick it at a really fast rate anyways. I think there is one missed opportunity here. In a lot of Dungeoneering places, you'll see whenever you're attacked by a monster, it closes a dialog box. So like in this herb room, when you click on that to get your first herb and a monster attacks you, it interrupts you and actually closes that interface. Similarly, if you're trying to get a riddle, you have to read it really fast or you'll get attacked by a monster and won't be able to read your riddle. Or in an emotes room, you can get attacked by a monster, closing your emotes interface so that the statue will attack you because you can't actually cast the emote. I think this is another great opportunity for Jagex to improve Dungeoneering, just making it so those dialogue boxes stay open when you're getting attacked by monsters, or remove the monsters from rooms with dialogue boxes. The final puzzle they've improved is the ghost puzzle. Previously, you'd kill a ghost and you'd have to wait a little while before you could attack the next one. Now that spirit travels a lot faster, so you can kill the ghosts one by one much quicker. This is a great change and I love it. I wish there was a slightly better indicator of which ghost was attackable. Maybe do something like a color change so it really stands out. Now, some of the bigger changes they've done, they're messing with bosses a little bit. There are a lot of complaints on Reddit that the Dungeoneering bosses are too fast to kill, they're too easy, and the Caldra change here has given us an opportunity to look at that. So I had a Caldra that had 400k hit points. My accuracy on the boss with completely maxed out gear was not 100%, so I was splashing quite a bit, even with the correct styles. I did not enjoy the experience. I found it just extended the time I was in the dungeon. It caused me to take more damage and therefore die more often, which decreases my tokens and experience. That would actually push people away from Dungeoneering, which I assume is not the purpose of this update. So I think something needs to be looked at there. On the other hand, the Ice Fiend changes were actually really good. Ice Fiend used to cast Icicle Falls 4 times per kill, and now it only casts it 2 times. This reduces a lot of the massive damage and just running around not attacking that goes on during the boss, which I think is a great change. It speeds up the boss fight instead of slowing it down like Caldra, which is great for getting more experience and faster floors. It would be great if you could keep attacking while icicles are falling, because I think that would make it even more engaging, but that's more of a long-term sort of change. There were 2 other really big changes with this update. The first is increased base accuracy within Dungeoneering to be in line with other areas of the game. Essentially, this means you have a lot better accuracy against all the monsters in Dungeoneering. You'll hit them more often with your weapons if you're using the wrong combat styles, so like a magic weapon will hit a ranger a lot better than it would before. This is a great change. I think is something that's needed because most players aren't weapon switching a ton. As a high level, super good Dungeoneering player, I swap my weapons all the time, so it's not like a huge deal for me. But for someone who's camping one style, this is a really great improvement. The other huge change is the Hex Hunter bow. Previously, it was classified as a shield bow in Dungeoneering, so it did half as much damage as the Sagittarian short bow and was essentially useless. Now it's changed to be more like the surface version of the bow, where it's no longer a shield bow and it gets an accuracy and damage buff against magic enemies. It also appears to be modified by the enchantment of Dispelling, which gives an even higher damage and accuracy buff. The one downside is that its base damage is still cut in half, at least on the tooltip. I haven't done enough testing to really nail down exactly what's happened there, but it does appear to deal less damage than the Sagittarian short bow on non-magic targets. Ideally, Jagex will look at this and make it just the absolute best in slot bow, so you're not bow switching while training Dungeoneering. Overall, I'd say these changes are really good. They're what Dungeoneering needs, and it's a step in the right direction. I also think there are a lot of opportunities to improve still. One of my primary complaints with Dungeoneering is if you're not a maxed player and you go in a group with other people, you're going to run into a ton of skill doors that you can't open. I really, really, really think that Dungeoneering skill doors should scale to individual players' levels instead of to the group's highest level. That would make it a lot more accessible for people and make it a more fun experience. Also, right now, it's possible to get doors that you can't ever open if you're not a maxed player. For example, I've done Dungeoneering on some low level accounts, and I'll run into doors that require, 90 smithing to open, which is just not possible unless I use a Beguiling Smoke Devil card, which is really a bad workaround. I think this is one of the primary things that needs to be addressed with Dungeoneering to make it more accessible and fun for players. If your first introduction to the skill is terrible because you can't open any doors, why would you go back there? I'd also like to see accuracy addressed. I realize the combat beta will probably help with that a lot, but right now you splash on a ton of bosses in Dungeoneering still, and some of the monsters, even with this accuracy change, at lower levels you're going to splash a ton on them, which isn't very fun. We'll see how the combat beta plays out with that. Hopefully that'll be better. I also think there's a really big opportunity to modernize and fix a ton of the puzzles. A lot of them are pretty clunky in their execution, things like getting attacked by monsters, closing dialogue boxes. I might put together a Reddit post that just has a list of possible improvements there because I've done so many puzzles and I have a lot of ideas with that. Let me know in the comments what you think about the update and what changes you'd like to see in Dungeoneering going forward.